The case of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell has long been a dark chapter in American justice, a story filled with powerful names, vulnerable victims, and unanswered questions. For years, survivors and the public have demanded transparency, hoping that exposing the full truth would bring some measure of accountability. The recent actions by the United States government, however, have not brought closure, but have instead ignited a fresh firestorm of outrage and suspicion. Two specific events, the decision to hide former President Donald Trump's name in newly released files, and the quiet transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell to a low-security prison, have created a perception that the system is protecting the powerful rather than serving justice for the abused. This new wave of controversy centers on the fundamental principles of fairness and equality under the law. People are understandably upset because these developments suggest that the rules might be different for those with influence and political connections. When the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation take steps that seem to contradict their own stated policies, public trust is eroded. The feeling is that a case involving such heinous crimes against children should be handled with the utmost transparency, yet what we are witnessing feels more like a calculated effort to manage information and shield certain individuals from public scrutiny. The core of the public's frustration lies in the apparent double standard. The promise of releasing the Epstein files was that it would finally shed light on his vast network of associates and enablers. Victims were led to believe that everyone involved, no matter how famous or powerful, would be exposed. Instead, the process has been marked by delays, selective disclosures, and now, questionable redactions. This handling of the case sends a chilling message to survivors, that even after a conviction, their pursuit of full accountability is secondary to protecting the reputations of the elite. The fight is no longer just about Epstein and Maxwell, it is about whether our justice system can be trusted to treat everyone equally. This situation has mobilized victims' advocates, lawmakers from both parties, and ordinary citizens who are watching these events unfold with growing alarm. The issues at hand are not complex legal technicalities but simple matters of right and wrong. Why is one person's name hidden while others are not? Why is a convicted sex trafficker who preyed on minors given privileges usually reserved for non-violent offenders? These are the straightforward questions that the government has so far failed to answer adequately, fueling demands for a complete and unvarnished release of all information related to this deeply disturbing case. One of the most explosive developments is the revelation that the FBI was instructed to redact Donald Trump's name from more than 100,000 documents related to the Epstein investigation. In March 2025, federal agents were reportedly told to specifically flag and conceal any mention of the former president. The FBI and DOJ have justified this action by citing privacy exemptions under the Freedom of Information Act, arguing that Trump was a private citizen when the investigation began in 2006. They maintain that the mere presence of a name in investigative files does not imply any wrongdoing, and therefore its release would constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. This official explanation, however, directly contradicts previous standards set for the Epstein files. Legal experts and government watchdogs were quick to point out that the established rule was to only shield the names of victims, minors, and cooperating witnesses. Former Trump Attorney General Pam Bondi had publicly stated in 2024 that these were the only legitimate reasons for redaction. Donald Trump does not fit into any of these protected categories. This inconsistency has led to widespread accusations that the DOJ is applying a special set of rules for a former president, undermining the principle that no one is above the law and fueling speculation about the reasons for this preferential treatment. The controversy is further magnified by the context surrounding the release of the files. An earlier declassified release in February 2025 was heavily criticized for containing no significant new information, though it did confirm Trump's name was listed in Epstein's infamous Black Book. The DOJ later stated its review found no client list or evidence linking Trump to criminal activity. However, redacting his name from the broader trove of documents prevents independent journalists, researchers, and the public from drawing their own conclusions or understanding the full context of his association with Epstein, which included at least 8 documented flights on Epstein's private jet between 1993 and 1997. This selective secrecy has created a vacuum of information that is now being filled with suspicion and accusations of political maneuvering. By hiding Trump's name, the government is not ending the speculation, it is intensifying it. The public is left to wonder what is being concealed and why. Is it to protect a political figure, or is there another motive at play? Without full transparency, the redactions serve only to damage the credibility of the investigation and deepen the public's distrust in the institutions that are supposed to be accountable to them. The demand now is for a clear, consistent standard applied to all names in the files. Adding to the public's sense of injustice is the recent quiet transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell to federal prison camp Bryan, a minimum security facility in Texas. Maxwell, who was convicted for her central role in Epstein's sex trafficking conspiracy, is now housed in a camp known for accommodating white-collar criminals like Elizabeth Holmes, not predators convicted of violent crimes against children. This move has been widely condemned as a form of preferential treatment, a stark betrayal of the victims who fought for years to see her held accountable for her predatory actions. The transfer sends a dangerous and painful message that the powerful are protected even after conviction. The decision by the Bureau of Prisons is particularly troubling given Maxwell's history. During her pretrial proceedings, she was repeatedly denied bail after being deemed an extreme flight risk due to her wealth, international connections, and multiple citizenships. For her to now be placed in a low-security camp, which typically has minimal fencing and more relaxed rules, seems to defy all logic and established policy. Prison insiders have noted that such a transfer for an inmate with her profile would be highly unusual and would likely require a high-level waiver, raising serious questions about who authorized this move and why it was deemed appropriate. The timing and circumstances of the transfer have also fueled allegations of political influence. Reports have emerged that shortly before her move was approved, Maxwell met for 9 hours over 2 days with Todd Blanche, a lawyer who has previously represented Donald Trump and now works for the DOJ. While the nature of their discussions remains unknown, the meeting has intensified speculation about potential back-channel negotiations. Critics wonder if Maxwell is being offered incentives in exchange for her silence or cooperation, or perhaps being positioned for a future pardon should Trump return to office. This possibility has alarmed lawmakers and victims advocates alike. For the survivors of Maxwell's abuse, this transfer is another profound disappointment in a long and painful journey. It feels less like justice and more like a carefully managed arrangement to ensure her comfort. Victims' groups have been vocal in their condemnation, arguing that placing Maxwell in a club-fed environment dishonors the gravity of her crimes and the lifelong trauma she inflicted on her victims. The move is seen not as a standard procedural step, but as a calculated decision that prioritizes the comfort of a convicted predator over the need for meaningful punishment and public accountability. In response to these alarming developments, the demand for accountability has grown louder and more urgent. Lawmakers are now stepping in to challenge the secrecy and apparent special treatment. Representative Robert Garcia, a ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, has formally demanded answers from the Bureau of Prisons regarding Maxwell's transfer. He warned that the move raises the possibility that political influence may be shaping or distorting her testimony, a sentiment echoed by many who fear the integrity of any future cooperation is now compromised. This official inquiry signals that Congress is not willing to let these questions go unanswered. The push for transparency is gaining momentum, with a subpoena expected to be issued for all unredacted files, videos, and internal DOJ communications related to both Epstein and Maxwell. The goal is to bypass the administrative roadblocks and force the full story into the light. While House Republicans have agreed to delay Maxwell's testimony until after the Supreme Court decides on her appeal, likely pushing it to late September 2025, the pressure for disclosure is relentless. As Representative Garcia stated, the public deserves to see these files. No redactions, no special favors. This isn't about politics, it's about truth. This case has evolved beyond the horrific crimes of two individuals and has become a litmus test for the American justice system. The core issue is whether justice is applied equally to all, regardless of wealth, status, or political connections. The redaction of a powerful name and the lenient treatment of a convicted accomplice suggest to many that the answer is no. This perception is corrosive, undermining the very foundation of public trust in the institutions designed to protect citizens and uphold the law. It reinforces the cynical belief that there are two systems of justice, one for the rich and powerful, and another for everyone else. Ultimately, the fight for the unredacted Epstein files and for answers about Maxwell's treatment is a fight for the principle of truth itself. For the survivors, it is about achieving a full measure of justice and ensuring such atrocities are never again allowed to fester in the shadows. For the public, it is about reaffirming that transparency and accountability are non-negotiable pillars of a functioning democracy. The outcome of this struggle will send a lasting message about whether our society is truly committed to equal justice for all, or if the powerful can continue to operate by a different set of rules.